All right, how's it going, guys? It's Tuesday, and of course, we have some news on the Ukrainian Russia situation. Of course, if you have not checked out my new video on what Russia actually have to gain from this entire situation, especially with the invasion of Ukraine economically, the new video that I have up is going to be on the channel. Go over and check it out before you can continue with this video. But anyway, let's cover some news today. All right. Let me just bring you guys over to Wall Street Journal. Same thing as always. We're just going to go through the updates for the past 24 hours so that we can kind of refresh our memory on what we have actually missed out. All right. Ukrainian ambassador to join Joe Biden. Okay. Oh, yeah. State of the Union. Okay. Big one. All right. So for you guys who have not watched the State of the Union speech, this morning, I think it was about 10 a.m. in Singapore, where they were playing the State of the Union speech. Basically, it's more like Biden kind of talking more about what he actually said in the elections. He started out by talking mostly about the whole Russian-Ukraine situation, where he was trying to pump up every single American in the room, saying like, don't worry, guys. So we're gonna be able to defeat Ukraine. We're definitely gonna be able to defeat Russia. We just need to be united. Even people are also getting even in the EU, they're all getting very hyped up, and we can defeat Russia together. All about unity, and they kind of like just hyping each other up a little bit. And afterwards, Biden basically went in to talk more about his Build Back Better. He continued to talk about his increasing of taxes, letting people know that, if you earn anything lesser than $400,000, you're not going to pay a single cent of tax, which is a lie, because you do. But of course, he's actually coming from a place where, we're not going to build the country top down. We're going to build the country from bottom up or in middle up. Okay, we're going to make sure that everyone from the bottom or from the middle class are all going to be very, very more well-to-do than the higher class or the higher echelon of people who actually earn the most money in the United States. Very fair point. Okay, very, very fair points. Of course, the whole State of Union, it was, I felt that for this State of Union talk, of course, I wasn't really aware of the previous State of Union talk. This felt very, very humanizing. Of course, I think whenever Biden actually speaks to a huge crowd of people, okay, especially for the State of Union talk, if you actually watch the whole entire event, you can actually hear people cheering, you can hear a lot of people clapping, a lot of reaction from it, people even like chanting USA, USA, that kind of thing. And because of that, it's very, very humanizing for you to really see that, like, damn, like, for Biden, especially from the Democrat side of things, the things that he actually says is always very, very pro-life. And of course, for Democrats, there are a lot of easy points to get Democrats hyped up about. I'm not sure about Republicans on the other side, but I can see what Biden was actually doing. So I thought it was actually quite smart. Okay, but anyway, I don't want to talk too much about the State of Union, because honestly speaking, it was mostly like an election kind of play. Okay, Ukrainian ambassador to join Joe Biden at State of Union. Individual investors undeterred by market volatility. The market volatility is flashing a buy signal for many investors. Last week, as the S&P 500 fell into a correction defined as a drop of at least 10% from its high. For the first time in 2 years, many investors stopped up their stock purchase. Okay, before we continue here, let's look over at volatility. What is the market volatility at the moment? Can I have the VIX up in here? Let's see, VIX. The VIX is now at 33. VIX is currently at 33 points. That is almost 100% since the start of the year. That's crazy, okay? For people who don't know what the VIX is, it's basically a volatility index for people to really see the market is very, very worried. The market is very, very, very volatile. People are buying a lot. People are selling a lot. There's a lot of trading going on. That's where volatility index continue going up. Okay, so it can be good, it can be bad, but most of the time when VIX is at a high side, it's usually bad. Okay, because it simply means that a lot of people are very, very worried and people keep on wanting to sell. And the more people want to sell, it usually creates more buyer. And when people who want to buy, and there's always a seller, if this continues going on and on and on, it just creates more volatility over time. Okay, so yeah, to see the VIX, going all the way to 33 points, it's definitely gonna be a little bit scary for the entire market for a little bit. But you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised because I was expecting, whenever the VIX go past 30, we'll see massive rate destruction going on in the market. But of course, we did have one of the worst Mondays. One of the worst Januaries ever since 08, I think. No, it was even before 08. We got one of the worst January since the dot-com bubble. So I would assume that this is easily understandable for the VIX to actually not show that much redness in the market. Right now, a lot of the stocks kind of really found their own floor prices. Okay, they already found their own floor prices, and it kind of don't make sense for them to continue going down. So because of that, people usually say there's no place other than up, because if you're already down so much, there are some stocks who are down like 80% for the past 52 weeks. So it will be hard for you to say, oh no, the VIX is going up. It is going to sell off even more, because people who are holding on to it are not going to be selling anyway. So yeah, that's the crazy part about the market right now. All right, so yeah, individual investor undeterred by market volatility. Like what I said, Oil, natural gas prices rises as fighting intensify in Ukraine. Same thing, we already understand that. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but I'm going to go through by headlines so it's easier for everyone. Ukraine crisis stokes the defense company's share. I'm not going to talk much about it because defense company, very, very obvious, is because of the wartime. That's when defense company usually go all the way up. Ukraine, a seafarer charged in a partial sinking of Russian oligarch super yacht. I don't think it's very important for me to cover. I don't want to be going through news that I don't have to go through, because I really want to get to the company news today. It's going to be quite interesting there. Okay, West orders 7 Russian banks off SWIFT but leaves others on. I'm pretty sure that the 7 banks are some of the largest bank. The financial messaging structure, which is SWIFT, that serve as the bloodline for the global financial system. But they kept access for other Russian banks, including 2 key lenders, leaving open a conduit for payment to Russia for vital energy supplies. Yeah, like I said before, it doesn't make sense for them to completely shut off Russia, because chances are there are a lot of countries who actually need Russia a lot more than Russia needs them. Okay. Russia owns so many barrels of oil, and they are the second in oil creation. Okay, if they're fragging oil, the second biggest oil fragger in the whole world, I can imagine people are actually going to Russia. And even in this period of time, there might be some who are, those private corporations who probably will be asking them, do you think we can settle a deal somehow for us to actually buy your oil at a cheaper rate and such? I'm telling you, it's very, very normal for people to be doing this kind of trade-off. And because if you're talking about a bulk purchase, it can easily be like 20% off, and it'll be worth so much more if you just do that. Okay. The EU will formally sign off, blah blah blah. The decision is to delete some banks, but not all, represented an EU compromise. A number of countries, including Germany, have argued it is important to make sure some banks remain on SWIFT to help Europe pay for essential energy imports from Russia and to allow some other vital transfer. All right, so I think I actually explained this before as well, but just in case that you guys missed it, before the SWIFT banning actually took place, Germany and France were basically the ones who are saying, hold up, let's not ban Russia completely. Okay, let's not ban the SWIFT system of Russia, because what if we need energy from Russia? Because they need Russia way more than Russia needs them. Even though Germany actually thought that we can halt the Nord Stream 2, they thought that they were very smart about that. But in this entire pipeline, this Nord Stream 2 pipeline, where Russia basically bring it out to all the European countries, Russia is the one who is doing the giving, but of course, Russia do give out the oil at a price. But at the same time, these European countries are the one who need this gas, need this oil, which is why they actually originally even had this gas pipeline to begin with. And yeah, because of that, right now, Germany and France basically, they have been egged on by all the other nations, and they just, you know what, okay, fine. Okay, we are going to continue to start to impose a sanction, aka via banning the SWIFT system on those Russian banks. And of course, when they did that, and then Germany and France probably wanted to be, I don't think we can really be that adamant about it, because what if we need some energy? Okay, what if we are that desperate that we still need Russia for some energy, that kind of thing. So yeah, that kind of explained this part. Okay, yeah, okay, but I mean, see, Europe relies heavily on energy imports from Russia, and the US administration and EU authorities have said that it will protect money flows for that purpose. Although that will change if the situation in Ukraine further deteriorates. In the US, high inflation visible through gas prices are also keeping pressure on the Biden administration to make sure sanctions don't boomerang back on American consumers. The US and other nations said they would tap emergency crude oil stocks to elevate pressure on global supply. Yeah, okay, I will assume that that's going to be all the same thing. Okay, YouTube blocks the Russian state-controlled channels. I think I talked about this yesterday. Ukrainian American Congresswoman calls Russia's invasion genocide. The aftermath of fighting near Kiev. I don't really want to look at pictures. Apple says it has stopped all product sales in Russia. All right. Apple stopped selling iPhones and other products in Russia following the country's invasion of Ukraine. We're deeply concerned about the Russian invasion of Ukraine and stand with all the people who are suffering as a result of the violence. We are supporting humanitarian efforts, providing aid for the unfolding refugee crisis, and doing all we can to support our teams in the region. The company said it has paused all product sales in Russia and last week stopped all exports into its Russian sales channels. The country's RT News and Sputnik News app are no longer available for download through Apple's App Store outside of Russia. The tech giant Apple Pay has been limited in Russia and also disabled traffic and live incident from its map in Ukraine. Silicon Valley tech giant has also been facing greater pressure to cut off services and content to Russia. On Friday, Ukraine's Vice President Mikhailo Fedorov asked Apple Chief Executive Tim Cook to stop supplying Apple products and services to Russia, including halting access to the App Store. All right. So I do want to talk a little bit more about this because this actually included Apple, and I thought that there's a talking point for this. So for people who knew about the whole ATM situation where Russian basically realized that, oh no, ruble is going to go to zero, everyone's going to rush to every single ATM to withdraw all the money they can. But the Russian government actually imposed, the banks basically imposed a withdrawing limit on all the ATMs. And if I'm not mistaken, it was supposedly supposed to be about like $80 a day, which, because when the ruble fell so much, now it become like $20 a day, 20 USD a day. And it became very, very bad. And people who had a lot of money went to all your electronic store. So Apple clearly have one of the best standing value in terms of technology. So, people basically went into the store. All right, can I have 20 iPads, 40 MacBooks, 300 of the newest iPhone? And they basically just, spend all their money that they can. And then possibly when they eventually get out of the country or when this whole thing is over, they treat this as gold. And then after this whole situation is over, they just put it up to eBay and sell it for USD. Okay, and they just say only accept USD. for this transaction. So it's smarter for Apple to actually start to slowly cut off from the Russia side of things, because they do not want to be holding on to rubble either. Okay, as any form of business right now, you do not want to be accepting rubble. You do not want to be accepting rubble. Okay, of course, there are also some people who treat this as a trading opportunity. If I accept rubble right now, I can accept way more rubble as compared to how much USD equivalent it is. And then when I do get the rubble, then I'm able to actually kind of trade for higher, kind of like how the whole Forex exchange kind of work. But yeah, that works as well. But I don't think a lot of businesses is actually risky enough for them to really want to believe in the rubble right now, especially with what is actually being transpired in Ukraine right now. So I do think that it would be smarter for Apple to be doing what they're doing. Of course, I'm pretty sure that Dell is also doing the same thing. I think later on we'll be also going through Dell. I think Dell would most likely be doing the same thing as well. I did read something along that line, but I didn't really go through the whole thing. But yeah. All right. Tesla boost emerged during a market sell-off. Popular trade of the past year, holding up during the market downturn. Options tied to Tesla. Traders spent around $2.4 billion on option contract tied to Tesla on Tuesday, more than what they have spent on one of the biggest exchange-traded fund tracking the S&P 500. Some of the most popular Tesla options were calls that would pay out if the shares jump $900 or $1,100 up from $856 in recent trading. Also in the mix, calls tied to the shares jumping to $17.35. Calls option give the rights to buy the shares at a specific price. Blah, blah. Also, recently had bet that the Russian invasion of Ukraine will accelerate Europe's transition to clean energy. The options activity shows how many traders are reluctant to give up on the bets that were profitable for much of the past 2 years. Options on Tesla became a favorite for momentum-driven traders who wanted to profit from the electric. Okay. This year, shares of the companies are down around 19%. Okay, so basically, this article just wanted to tell you that because of what is happening with the whole Russia-Ukraine situation, people are just believing more into the clean energy instead of everyone relying on Russia, since Russia is the second in terms of the oil fracking and such, and the oil supplies. So people are saying that, if that's the case, we should all go to cleaner versions, and because of that, you should go get a Tesla. My argument is going to be the same. Don't get me wrong. I like clean energy and all. I like Tesla and all, but that should not be the reason why you're getting over to buy Tesla. Okay, because the thing is that phase has already passed. That phase was most likely in 2017. Okay, where people are like, do I want to buy a new sports car, or do I want to buy a Tesla Roadster? That kind of thing. And then eventually now you're in the Model 3, Model S, Model X, and such. But I do think that right now it's not really the smart play for you to suddenly be like, because of this whole oil prices, it makes sense for you to buy a Tesla. Because if based on those merits, it's also a good time for you to buy the NIO. It's a good time for you to buy the Xpeng. It's a good time for you to buy into Rival, okay, to Rivian, the Lucid. There's a lot of EV companies out there. But the reason why you are buying into Tesla is not because it's just an EV. It's because it's an innovator for FSD. Okay, you want to really get into the whole nitty-gritty side of Tesla, and that's why you want to get into Tesla. You don't want to get into Tesla because it's an EV. It's a very, very surface reason for you to get into Tesla, okay? Because if you are going to get into Tesla for a very, very surface reason, such as clean energy and such, if we were to get any sort of news that affects electrical charging infrastructure in the near future, where Tesla will definitely be affected. You will definitely just sell outside of the company and just be it's too volatile, it's not the company for me and such. You're going to be very, very worried. Okay, that's because for a surface reason, you do not have a strong tie to the company. You're not convicted to hold on to the stock, which is normal. I will not fault you for doing so, because you actually bought into a company without being convicted into the company. There's no reason for you to hold on to it, so you will definitely want to sell it, especially if you're already in profit by like 5-10%. I'm just gonna sell it. And that's good, and that's the reason why. And that's the reason why I think that I don't think this is a very, very good reason for people to be like, oh yeah, it's a good time for us to get in Tesla because oil prices is going up. I get that oil prices, okay, I'm just going to show you guys. Oil hit 110. Okay, oil hit 110. And there's a high possibility oil is going to hit 120 as well. Okay, if we suddenly see Kiev actually falling, Kharkiv is already semi-destroyed. Okay, if you see Donetsk and what is it, Donetsk and Tamis, if those city goes down as well, there is a high chance that oil is going to go to 120 or even 130. Right now, I think 110, it might still be early. Okay, I don't want to be that guy, but it might still be early. Okay, Biden faces pressure to target a Russia energy sector. Same thing. Western sanctions bite a Russian economy, but pose unpredictable risk. I already said it before about the sanctions. EU said to delist 7 banks from SWIFT, including VTB Bank. I don't think I care about the banks right now. Russia's share of US oil imports. Let's see, what is this? Mexico. Oh, okay, this is just a graph of the crude oil in US, I think. Or in the whole world. The imports for crude oil and petroleum. Okay. Next. A Ukrainian confronts a Russian with gruesome war images. Invasion accelerates Finland's drift towards NATO membership. Yeah, well, a civilian trained to throw Molotov cocktail. And I'm pretty sure that if you actually go online, you can probably find a lot of videos or pictures of Ukrainians, a lot of those civilians basically just carrying a lot of bottles, a lot of beer bottles to a place to consolidate to make their own homemade Molotovs. Kind of like preparing for war, basically, because I remember seeing some images where they actually accumulated about a good 10,000 bottles or so. And then, like, there are some people who are actually doing this whole line of production line, and then they were like pouring flammable, putting a rug in, and then keep on passing it down and such. Yeah, so civilian trained to throw Molotov cocktails, I guess. All right, Ford suspend joint adventure operation in Russia. I mean, right now, I think it's the sexy thing for you to really be avoiding Russia, going against Russia. You know, all people who are even neutral to begin with are already going against Russia, which is why. So, Ford Motor is suspending its joint venture operation in Russia, citing concern over the invasion of Ukraine and joining a cohort of other global automakers that have pledged to halt business in the country. While we don't have the significant operations in Ukraine, we do have a strong contingent of Ukrainians national working for Ford around the world. U.S. automaker have diminished its presence in Russia before the conflict, not only focusing on commercial van manufacturing and sales through its joint venture with Solar PJSC. Ford holds a minority stake in the joint venture. Ford sold about 21,000 vehicles in Russia last year. Ford said it would donate $100,000 to the Global Giving Ukraine Relief Fund to support those dispatched during the attack. Okay, nothing interesting here. Russian invasion threatens disarray for farmers' fertilizer supplies. Russia scrambles to maintain oil sales. Ukraine conflict show wartime norms don't exist for cyber operation. Biden to warn on Putin, say dictator hurt US when they don't pay price. President Biden is said to tell Congress that the Russian President Vladimir Putin intended to divide Americans, warning that the cost to the US will continue to rise if authoritarian leaders don't face sanctions or other penalties. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the costs and threats to America and the world keep rising. Expected to emphasize the need for support Ukraine after the country was attacked by Russia. Thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. Biden is expected to say, and he thought he could divide us here at home. Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's nothing interesting here. Let's see. Janet Yellen speaks to Ukrainian counterpart, promises to help. It's been a long time since I've seen Janet Yellen and also Jerome Powell. But I'm pretty sure Jerome Powell is going to be talking today. So I'll probably be keeping an eye out for that. Those sanctions would prevent Russia from raising money to fund the war and would hurt its economy. We expect these efforts to have a debilitating impact on Russia's economy and hamstring the Russian government ability to fund its invasion. Okay, it's going to be the same thing. War in Ukraine disrupts ships around the globe. Clearly, Russian war in Ukraine starts to hit civilian hard. We are in a trap. Okay, shut down oil production. US aid to Ukraine throws a wrench in the government funding talk. Yeah, okay. Same thing. China outreach to Russian economy extensively so far. Boeing ends support. Oh my God. MasterCard discloses Russia Ukrainian exposures. MasterCard said Tuesday that roughly $1.1 billion of its annual net revenue comes from Russia and Ukraine, where sanctions and war have put businesses at risk. An important contributor to MasterCard overall net revenue. Said in the filing to the SEC after the stock market closed, about 4% of its net revenue in 2021 derived from business conducted within, into, and out of Russia, and roughly 2% of its net revenue were related to Ukraine. MasterCard net revenue last year was 18.9 billion. Okay, these are just numbers, never mind, not important. Biden says US will ban Russian flights from American airspace. Kind of expected already. Biden cites allies in joint effort to sanction Moscow. This was already talked about in the State Union. Biden repeatedly praises NATO amid Russia-Ukraine conflict. I mean, like, I think that's what Biden can really do right now, to talk about how good NATO is. But I don't know if that is kind of egging Putin on a little bit, because it's like, Putin is kind of fighting someone else, and then Biden is basically here telling, oh yeah, how good NATO is, the West and the NATO wouldn't respond. Nah, man. Like, you think you can divide us? No way. That kind of thing. I don't know. I just feel that, Russia is kind of like egging Putin on a little bit. He thought he could divide us at home and in this chamber and in this nation. He thought that he could divide us in the Europe as well. Yeah. Biden says release of 30 million barrels of oil from reserve will blunt gas prices. Okay. I highly doubt it, but okay. Let's see. I want you to know that we're going to be okay. Like I said before, it will only blunt prices in the short term. Okay, if this pulls out, if this extends to become an occupation, it's not going to blunt out prices. Okay, in the short run, you might see lower inflation costs because we still have a steady supply. But in the long run, it's going to be horrible because eventually you're going to run out of oil. And it's very hard for you to basically get off on just not using oil at all. I understand that people are also thinking about that, how, we are all going to reach a carbon neutral state as a whole globe in the future, which is why people will most definitely in the future start to go towards an EV revolution kind of thing. People start to use lesser oil and people start to use more electrifying throughout the entire world. But, I do think that that's going to be sometime out. 10 years is the max. It's the minimum of the minimum. And then I would assume 20 years is where we actually see the most optimal electrifying of the whole entire world. But, we'll see how it goes for this. Biden unveils task force to pursue Russian oligarch crimes. Never mind. Says Putin badly miscalculated. Yeah, okay, like I said before. Okay, Biden says that Putin badly miscalculated response. If you haven't watched my video on why Russia would invade Ukraine economically, go and watch it. But I'll just give you guys a brief summary if you guys watched it until now. Basically, it just means that, it doesn't make sense for Putin to think that we are going to go into a 2 weeks war. Okay? Putin probably think that it's going to be a four days kind of thing, 5 days maybe. You can just get rid of Zelensky and then just put in a puppet government and just call it a day. But clearly wasn't, which is why Putin even came out at the start to say this is not going to be an occupation. At the first day, he's going to say this is not going to be an occupation. Okay, we just want to end this quickly, that kind of thing. Clearly it didn't. it didn't work out that way, which is why right now even Kiev is not down, where we actually expected Kiev to be down by Saturday, and right now it's Tuesday and it's still not down. Okay, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, that's a good thing, but you know, based on how Putin probably calculated it, he probably thought that it would be done in a 3-4 days kind of thing, and it turned out that he badly miscalculated on his end. So yeah, Reynolds. Okay. Oh, that's great. We're here. Okay, finally, let's talk about Ford. Chris electric vehicle gas engine diversion in company reshape. Okay, so I just want to give you guys a brief rundown of what I actually did yesterday. I'll probably be talking about this on Friday anyway, but I sold out all of my Ford puts yesterday. I sold out all of my Ford puts and I actually locked in 147.2% profits on all my Ford puts. It was a great trade. I made over $3,000 or so. I love that trade a lot, and I already explained to you guys why I love that trade. But the reason why I actually clocked it out yesterday, it was exactly because Ford was down like 5% yesterday. I saw that Ford went down all the way to about 6% or so, and that was when I actually cut it off and I said, okay, that's enough. That's all I want from Ford. I think that I can sell the remaining of my Ford. I sold the most of my bulk during the first part of it on the first day of the invasion, where prices was crazy volatile. I sold I think about 40%, and then the leftover 60% was when I sold it yesterday. Now, back to the actual news itself. Creates electric vehicle, okay, and the pre-market is up 3%. Okay, because people like this. People like the fact that now Ford is starting to be like, okay, we need to quickly electrify. Of course, we understand that Ford have the whole the F-150 and such. We know that Ford is already trying their best on the EV production side of things, but they're nowhere near what Tesla is doing. Okay, I'm just letting you guys know first. Okay, Ford plans to keep both operation in-house by give them separate names and for their own leadership structure and profit loss statements. The move is scheduled to be outlined later Wednesday during a press conference. Yeah, so this is kind of what GE is doing, General Electric. They kind of want to just break it up into three different subsidiary, but they're still working under one ticker symbol on its own. So what Ford basically want to do is say, okay, you know, we're going to do where the conventional Ford, Mustang and such, they're all going to be still under one company. And then for the EVs and the software and such, we're going to make another company for it. So it's easier for people to really classify what these two companies are actually doing, but they're all going to be still running under one ticker. Okay, so yeah, that's basically the news. Okay, let me just turn this off. Okay, oil tops $110. Like I said, I think that was already quite understandable. US moving to confront China on trade in the industrial policy. Washington, the Biden administration is preparing to confront China on its industrial subsidies and seek ways to protect America's edge in new technologies, hardening U.S. economic policy towards the nation's chief global rival. China has identified semiconductors, AI, 5G, wireless, and electric vehicles as areas where it seeks global leadership. Heightened scrutiny of U.S. companies' investment in China, tighter exports controls on sensitive technologies, and greater cooperation with European and Asian allies. Yeah, it's nothing much. Biden's State of Union addresses pushes unity against Russia, battle against inflation. Yeah, okay. So for the State of Union talk, they were really talking a lot about inflation. They were talking about how they're going to defeat inflation, of course, with the help of the Federal Reserve. And I'm just going to give you, okay, you know what? Actually, I'm going to talk more about this on Saturday because I want to really drill this point home, which is on Saturday, I'll be talking a lot about the CPI situation and also the upcoming FOMC situation as well, just so that I can keep things fresh, nearer to the CPI as well. Let me see when's the CPI coming out. CPI, we are going to be doing February 2022. I think the CPI, Feb. 10th of March. So yeah, we'll get it on the 10th. So on a Saturday, let me just bring up the calendar for the calendar. we are going to be okay. On Saturday is going to be a 5th, so it'll be 5 days after that, and then we'll see the CPI. That's great. Okay, cool. All right. Anyway, let's get back to this again. So yeah, because of the whole entire fighting inflation, of course, we understand that inflation is still a very, very big thing, and of course, with oil hitting $110 per barrel, it's definitely going to be affecting CPI. But of course, we are not going to be seeing that really being in effect in this CPI pricing, that's where it kind of hurts. Okay, because we are going to see this price increment the next month. Okay, where we will see it in April for the March prices, because we kind of see most of the price increases in March instead of we'll probably see most of the increases in March rather than in February, because especially with the 60 million barrels that's being supplied into the world by all the reserves and such, that's going to be helping bolster the fact that oil prices is going to all-time high. So this way is actually a lot better, and we'll most likely be seeing the greater pressure in March, where the CPI will be only reflected in April. All right. He said the US would close American airspace. Okay. Yeah, okay. Like I said, okay, President remarks on Ukraine often generated applause from both Republicans and Democrats. I just understand that this is, at the end of the day, there's a lot of applause. There's a lot of unity. Okay, there's a lot of morale in this entire speech. So yeah, you know what? You should go and watch it if you haven't. I thought it was actually quite a nice thing to watch. All right, EU to add sanctions against Belarus. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so for people who do not know, example, if this is Russia. Okay, example, if this is Russia, this is Russia. Okay, this is Belarus, and this is Ukraine. Okay, so Belarus and Russia is basically part of like the same gang, okay? And then Ukraine is the one that is kind of like, oh, we are a little bit more westernized. We want to go with the NATO. We want to go and seek refuge with the European countries and such. Now, basically with Russia, the only so-called neutral party, or well, not really neutral party, the only friendly party to Russia is Belarus, okay? And now it seems that the EU want to add sanctions against Belarus as well. Kind of want to really pinch Russia even harder. They want to make sure that Russia kind of feel the pain, because right now they are also stopping the sports athlete. They are stopping Russian athlete from performing in more sports tournaments and such in the global scale. Kind of the same way of how they're actually doing to the rich family in Russia. They are trying to just make sure that all the rich people, the influential people, are feeling the squeeze and forcing Putin to be like, okay, you know what, we're going to stop the war. Okay, I'm not saying that this is correct, no, this is wrong. This is just a political fight. Okay, the defense ministry said, I want to say that if its forces had captured Kherson, a Ukrainian port, according to the report, let's see. Okay, this is under the Bloomberg's level. Okay, this is going to be the same thing. But yeah, I would assume that EU is going to be adding sanctions against Belarus. Probably we'll read more about this tomorrow. So, all right, the IEA will deploy emergency oil stockpile to ease soaring price. Yeah, like I said, this was from yesterday, the 60 million barrels that will be coming out from the reserve to help bolster the prices. Okay, yep, that's about it. Wow. Okay. Surprisingly, okay, I thought that this was a short news coverage. Apparently, it's 38 minutes. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the news covering as much as I did. You know, and of course, you know, if you have not subscribed, I should really start doing this in the start of the video. But you know, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. If you enjoy my sort of content, please leave a comment down below. And of course, there's a few helpful links below for you to actually get a few free stocks from Moomoo and Tiger Brokers. And of course, if you're into crypto, there's gonna be free Bitcoin in my Coinbase referral link, and also the Gemini referral link. If you are from Singapore, I'd much rather you use the Gemini link as compared to the Coinbase link, because Coinbase don't allow Singapore withdrawal yet. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.